Very good. Very good. Okay, the stream has started, and now I have to see which platforms accept the stream. Okay, let's see. Twitch has accepted the stream. YouTube has accepted the stream. And Facebook has accepted the stream. Okay, we are making progress. Are you ready to start your show?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm ready.
All right, let me take my picture off the screen here. Boom. Okay, when you're looking in you see the number 5 on one of the corners?
Yes.
When that says on the air, you're on the air, okay?
Okay.
All right, here we go.
Ready, Missy?
I'm ready.
Good evening and welcome to the Essentials of Everyday Living. I am the Reverend John Shred, the jester. We are using a different platform this time. We're doing it remotely because of the weather, and we're not in the studio. So in order for us to talk with you today, you're going to have to leave comments, and it's going to have to be written comments because we're unable to. I want to welcome my guest, Reverend Joanne Ventrilla. She'll be talking to us in a few minutes. Hello, Joanne.
Hello, Reverend John.
And before we begin, I just want to say that we did not put it in Facebook Live somehow. I forgot, but hopefully it'll get there somehow, some way. Richard's very good at that. And
if you like, John, I can put it on your Facebook page.
Please.
Okay, I'll do that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So what we have is the Essentials of Everyday Living, and I own the Sage Center, which is located at 964 Kenmore Avenue, Buffalo, New York, 14216. And we have coming up this weekend at the Good Shepherd Lutheran Church, located at 2669 Sheridan Drive. We've got a craft and vendor show. It's our holiday bazaar. So come on out. It's 11 to 3. And then there'll be some more stuff going on in January at the center. The only thing we have next week at the center is the Healing Night, which is on Thursday. So with that being said, that's the typical housekeeping stuff I have. I want to talk tonight with Joanne. Our title is Grieving Through the Holidays, but I have to tell you, everybody, okay, I am so intrigued with death. And everyone's going to say, oh, John, that's very morbid, but it's not, because we're all going to lose our physical bodies. We're spiritual beings having a physical experience. So with that being said, both Joanne and I were talking, and we understand that grieving is very hard for people, especially during the holidays. So Joanne, introduce yourself, tell them who you are, and then we'll get into a conversation with the grieving information.
Okay, I'm Reverend Joanne Ventrilla. I am an empathic, intuitive medium. I help people connecting with specific people on the other side, meaning I'm not one that will say, oh, there's someone here, your uncles, grandfathers, cousins, neighbors, brothers. I don't do that. I connect simply with one person that you want to connect with, and then give you your messages. And that's how I work.
And that's a good way to be. And Joanne can go with very specific information too. I know a lot of people, when they read in that, do not go with very specific information. Hold on one second, Miss Joanne, as I am going to try to do this where I can get this link to go over to the Reverend John Shred page, because I have that over there too. I've got so many pages. That's another thing, folks. I just want to let you know, you can look at sagecenterpromotions.com, and hopefully that will get you there. And I cannot get the link on, so I do apologize, on the Reverend John Shred page, and people will just have to look at it later. And I see Rachel says, hey. Oh, that's all I could see.
Oh, okay, wait, I'll fix that.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
And I told Richard earlier, I says it's nice in the studio because he has these screens where I can read everybody's comments, and he makes it big enough for me to see. But today I had to wear the glasses. I had no choice because I have to look at my little tiny screen. Candace Ayello says hello, and
Hello,
Rachel
Candace.
says hello, and Monty Lynn says hello. So we're doing good. People can see it, and thank you, Richard. I appreciate that.
Okay.
And okay, share it on my Reverend John Shred page if you would, Rachel, please. Oh, Sarah did get in. Hi, Sarah. Okay, so my big thing, and I get a lot of grief telling people this, but I'm obsessed with when it's time to go. I don't want to leave and I'm not ready to leave, but I want to know what it's like. I want to know why people go through it. And I want to know what happens when our bodies are done. And, the closer I get to it, the more I want to know when it's on its way. It's like the snowstorm. The reason we are remote, if anyone's listening who's not in the Western New York area, is parts of the area are under a severe winter storm warning, and they're getting a couple feet of snow. Luckily for us, we can do things remotely, which I'm very happy at. And I like the studio more because it is a better feeling and stuff. And then you can hug your guest. But so Joanne, you'll just have to have a virtual hug right now. So going with the thank you, going with the topic of death and that, unfortunately, two of my friends this year have passed away. Okay, and throughout my life, obviously, I've had my grandparents go, now my parents and some cousins and this and that, and I'm still very fortunate to have my sisters are still living and nieces and nephews and all that, but it's very difficult this time of year to get through the holidays. And Joanne and I are going to talk. So if you guys want to put some comments in there, if you have questions, we'll try to do readings by way of comment if you want. What do you think, Joanne? Should we do that too?
Yeah, you might have to do the reading part, but
Okay,
I'll
that's
chime
no
in if
problem.
I get anything.
Sounds good. All right. So Joanne and I was talking earlier, and we were talking about how it was. And do you want to tell your part of how it is to deal with the grief? What do you do? Because I mean, obviously, you and I were sharing our stories. We share a lot of stories.
Yeah. 4 years ago, my husband unalived himself, and it was very shocking to me. And I was in a state of shock for a long time. COVID had hit, so things were limited. I gave him a big kind of big memorial service. However, a lot of people couldn't come because of COVID. But I remember breaking down and sobbing and crying. Um, that was the first time I did it in a couple months like that, a month. And then I was in shock for most of the time. A lot of it was PTSD from what he did and what led up to it. And so I really didn't have time to process the loss of my husband and the loss of my life that I had for 40 plus years. Um, my oldest son decided they were going to get married. And, I was happy. It was Christmas week, so it was only 2 or 3 months down the line. And I did officiate the ceremony. I was sad because the reception was canceled again due to COVID, but we did have the ceremony at the Botanical Gardens. Now, this was one of the biggest honors of my life to perform the marriage ceremony for my son and his wife. But I remember, waiting around with everybody for everything to start. And I just started to sob and sob. And, my son was hugging me. And I think he thought maybe I was crying because he was getting married. But he knew that down deep why I was crying. And it had hit me very quickly like, I'm by myself. He's not here with me. He's not here for me to look at, or, he just wasn't there. So that kind of took its toll on me. I did go to a little reception at a relative's house after that. And I still was not, I was going through the motions because it was my son. But during Christmas, it was hard to be the first major holiday. I mean, Thanksgiving, but Christmas is always different. And I did spend Thanksgiving by myself. And I did, when Christmas came, I had to celebrate like the day after or 2 days after because my children had, other responsibilities. And I was very sad. I'm not going to lie. I was very sad. And I may have cried a couple times, but I didn't dwell on it. I tried to keep myself busy that day. My go to was watching old classic Christmas movies all day, the old black and white ones, keeping my brain occupied. And from there, I went a long time just filled with anger and being angry at him and for the life I lost. And after maybe 3 years, 3 years, I was advised from my therapist and two doctors that I was suffering from severe PTSD because up until that time, for 3 years, his face was in front of me 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And it was bad memories. And I couldn't get all the bad stuff out of my mind. I would go to bed. As soon as I would open my eyes, the video would start all over again. And this was just nonstop until, a different type of therapy was suggested for me. And I did do it. It's called EMDR. And I didn't have to be in it long. And all of that bad stuff I felt about him just dissipated. And I woke up one morning and all of a sudden I was in love again with the man I originally married. I I just had so much love in my heart for him and just loved him so much that, it was very not as much painful, but it was difficult for me because then all I felt was I wanted to hug him. I remembered what he felt like when he hugged me tight, when I held his hand all the time. So that was a different type of memory coming up, which is easier to live with than bad ones that are traumatizing. And, I do all right. I'm not going to lie. I've been on a very high dose of Prozac for the last 30 years. Only they raised it up to the highest at this point to help me cope, which will stop me from crying. It won't stop my heart from breaking or whatever, but it kind of stops up the tearing part of it. And there are times his urn has his photo on it. It's right in front of me under the cabinet, under the TV, with the rest of my pets and their pictures. And I don't even see it anymore. But occasionally I will look at it and then get a little freaky, like, oh my God, he's in that box. Oh my God, where's my husband? And then I start freaking out a little bit, like, oh my God, he's not here. He's, and look at it and I find it hard to believe that this man that I love to hug and what all of a sudden was reduced to a box of ashes. That doesn't happen all the time, and it's only happened maybe 4 or 5 times in the last 4 years. But for the most part, because of my mediumship abilities, I've always, my whole life, I picked up on what the death process was and how crossing over worked. I mean, I don't know how, it was just came to me naturally. Now, in the past, I've lost both of my parents a year apart when I was 21 years old. And that was a sad time for me and, a lot of crying and depression. But as time went on, it eased up. I got married right away. I had kids. That kind of, helped. But all I could think about all the time is I missed holidays with my family. It's not fair that my children don't get to spend that time with their grandparents. And
See, and I'm
so
getting to be the opposite.
as time, as time goes on, it gets easier and easier. And when I think of them or I reminisce about the holidays, I don't cry. I just say, wow, I really miss them and I miss the holiday get togethers and what it was like. But I have my memories. And instead of being sad, my memories give me comfort. And then in 1996, my oldest sister passed away at age 49. My parents were 52 and 55. My oldest sister had just turned 49 and she passed away on Christmas Eve, which also happened to be her grandbaby's birthday.
Oh, wow.
And again, I remember being grief stricken and on the other hand, very calm because I knew the process. I knew she wasn't really leaving, and I kind of helped her through it, even though she wasn't conscious. I know I helped her through it, that whole point. So yeah, I grieved for her because she was my sister and I loved her, and it had been a long time since somebody close in my family died. But I did have dreams about her for years, and they'd be the same repetitious dreams, and I would be distraught because it was like, there you are. I haven't seen you for years. Where have you been hiding? We've been looking for you. And it was just, to me, it was tragic. Eventually, that eased up and kind of stopped after so many years. But the fact that I know the crossing over process and what happens, that part of death with people now doesn't bother me. And I have helped a lot of people cross over.
Very much so.
I've had the honor of holding someone's hands as they were crossing over. And so on one hand, I know where my husband is. I know that he's always with me. I know all the
Exactly.
procedures and things. But it doesn't mean I'm not going to miss him physically.
No, and that will stay with you forever. And that's one of the things that I wanted people to realize tonight was that grieving, there's no set way of grieving. I know they have the 7 steps or the 7 signs of grieving that you go through this, you go through denial and all that. Push all that aside. And like you said, being a medium, you know that that spirit is still there. You know that the essence of that person is still there. But unfortunately, you can't touch that physical anymore. And when my dad passed away, I felt for a year his hand was on my shoulder, making sure that I was taking care of my mother and everything. And he hated this time of year anyway. because he lost his father in December. He worked at the post office. It was the busiest time of the year for them. And so he was never happy with grieving. And then my grandmother also his mother ended up passing. I think it was the 29th of December. My other grandfather was the 30th of November. So a lot of his family had left. And when I said at the beginning that I'm really intrigued with death, I'm just intrigued because I know as a spiritual being that I'm going to see everyone afterwards. And for those who are listening, we will not necessarily see them in their physical form. When I'm doing readings, and I believe Joanne's the same, when I get a vision of somebody, I get the vision of what they want to project or who they were. Okay. So we're looking at that. And some of the ways to grieve for me, I find laughter helps me grieve. And I remember my cousins and I were at my grandfather's funeral, and we were much younger. And we're in the funeral parlor, and someone says, "Does anyone have a lifesaver?" And we said, "Oh, now's a good time to ask," you know. And for me, I find humor in almost anything. I really do. I try to find humor. I find that with the humor, it helps you cope, I guess is the right word that I want to say. So I think that we need to tell people that grieving is not something that it's not going to be the same for me as it is for you, as it is for Jane Doe.
And it's never going to be
However,
the same for you. It's a
exactly,
lifelong thing where today you may grieve one way. Down the line, your grieving might just be the remembering, and grief
exactly.
stays with you the rest of your life. It doesn't go away. You just learn how to manage it better, and it's incorporated into your life, and you get to a point where you're not sad and you're not crying. But you
That's
will
a good
always miss
point.
that person because they're not coming back. I mean, there's the point. You will grieve forever. They're not coming back
Exactly.
physically. And um, I rarely, I mean, I lost everybody in my family, grandmother, my aunts, uncles, cousins. But this past December, my cousin who I grew up with, we were very close. I knew it was his time to go. And on December 31st, he crossed over. And, I went to the wake. Instead of going up to the coffin, I sat in the back, which I've never done before, but that's where I felt comfortable. Um, I went to the mass the next morning in the funeral and just went about it like, it's just another person, it's whatever. But 3 weeks after, my best friend that I grew up with, my sister, who was one of the biggest friendships and part of my life, passed over too. And I knew her passing was coming. And I did, go see her when I could, um, talk to her. I hugged her and kissed her so many times. And when I was sure the time was coming, I did speak with her and hold her hand, and I was talking in her ear. She was still conscious, and I explained to her, don't be afraid. You're going to think you're dreaming. Your mom and dad are going to come to you. People you love will come to you, and don't disregard it like, oh my God, now I'm hallucinating. That is 100% real. And don't be afraid when they come for you to pass over. It's not painful. It's a beautiful thing. You may be leaving your
I totally
siblings,
agree.
but you are now going with your parents, your grandparents, other friends you've lost. And don't be afraid, I kept telling her. Please don't be afraid. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing, and ending to your physical life.
That's what I
And
told my. Oh, sorry.
as I say, she kept telling me, okay, I understand. And I did at that point just hold her hand and give her Reiki and, pray for her passing to come soon and to be peaceful. And a couple days later, I knew it was coming. And I had spoken to her sisters constantly. And I said to the one sister, because she said, everything's still the same. I said, okay, I'm going to tell you this. I know all of you are sleeping in the front room with her. She's never alone. But if you get up to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night or get up to go in the kitchen, check her breathing. Go up to her because she always looks like she's sleeping to you. Go up to her, check her breathing because when she crosses, she will peacefully just go in her sleep and nobody will know it. And sure enough, that night, that's exactly what happened. And she said, I was, getting up to go to the bathroom. And then I thought, I better check her. She goes, and she was gone. I said, that's why I told you to check. They will cross over very peacefully and you won't know it. You could have woke up at 9 o'clock in the morning and she was gone all night. So, when I sense these things and people ask me, well, what do you see? I don't want to tell you what I see. I usually don't see anything. I feel it. I have the knowing, but I don't want to tell people, okay, it's only a couple more. I did say when they first asked me, they told her she's got about 3 months to live. What do you think? And I said, well, what do I think? I think she's not going to make it another month. And sure enough, she lasted 3 weeks. You don't want to burst somebody's hope, but again, it is what it is. As Tyler Perry said today, death is what it is. Grieving is what it is. We all have to get through it somehow, and we all will survive it.
Very much so. And so the things that people can do to help them through the grieving process, is like you said, the memories. Some people, my sister, my father passed away. Oh my God, I think it's now, 15 years ago or something. Almost 15 years. And my sister, as far as I know, still cries to this day, literally cries every day. And I can't help her with that. That's the thing that I want to let people know also, is that we cannot help people grieve. It's all up to the individual. We can be there for each other. We can say, hey, I'll sit with you while you grieve. You want to cry? Go ahead and cry. Some people don't want to talk about it, which is fine. You've got to figure it out for yourself. There's ways to get through it. Also, especially this time of year, you're more indoors in this area in Western New York because it's cold and the snow's there. So do something that's going to make you feel better. A lot of people will get depressed anyway during this time. And I know when people get depressed, a lot of times they don't want to get up and get washed or showered or comb their hair, brush their teeth, whatever. But you know what? Do little steps. If it means washing your face with a cloth, you wash it and then go back to bed. It's not a bad thing. And
I've had to learn to do that.
Right.
And I've never gotten out of my bedroom in the morning without taking a shower and getting dressed all at once. Never left the bedroom in my pajamas. And now there's days, I lay in bed and I'm like, should I get up and get dressed just to go sit in the living room on my recliner and watch TV? Or should I just stay in bed and watch TV? What difference does it make?
What difference? You're right.
Or keep my pajamas on and hope nobody comes to my door. But
and that's a funny thing because my ex-wife used to do that. She would stay in a nightgown all day, or as soon as she comes home, she would put a nightgown on. And for the longest time, it just, I'm like, I didn't get it. Now that obviously I'm not with her anymore, but now that I'm older, it's like, I understand it. Be comfortable. You're in your house. Who cares what you wear?
I have nowhere to go. I mean, for the past 4 years now, my daughter keeps, you're nothing but a hermit. You turned into a hermit. You got to get out of the house. No, I don't. No, I don't. If I don't want to leave the house, and I'm happy because I did move into a new um, house when I lost the other one. So he passed. I moved in May. He passed September 2nd. So it's a whole new adjustment for me, and I like my new home. It's half the size of my other one was, but I'm comfortable in it. And even though he died in my bed, I sleep on his side of the bed now. And, I don't, that part never bothered me. I did have to sleep with a light on. And it wasn't until 2 or 3 weeks ago that I started putting the TV on again, which I didn't. I would watch two tablets and my cell phone at the same time because I have ADHD. So, but finally I was like, you know what? I got my salt lamp on again. I shut the light. I fall asleep easier. I'm not afraid.
Let me ask you a question. Do you still sleep with the light on?
No, and so I'm saying about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I shut the lamp off. So I have my salt lamp. I just put a bulb in it. It lit up again. So that doesn't really light the room up. But, and I have the TV on. I'm a YouTube addict. So I watch my shows and things on the bigger TV in my bedroom, but I fall asleep, very
The,
easily. It's
the
not the
reason
same
I
as having the light on a
right.
lamp.
The reason I asked you that was because my mother and father, towards the end, before my father passed away, my mother would read her book, and she would fall asleep, and my father would turn the light off. So after he passed, I stayed with my mother for a little bit, and I said, "Why is your light on every night?" She goes, "I'm waiting for your father to shut it off." I says, "Mom, you do realize that he's not going to do that anymore, don't you?" She goes, "I know, but I'm still waiting." I'm like, "Okay." That was her way, you know,
Yeah, up
and
until, well, it
it
still
works.
happens to me, but not often anymore. But, I'll be laying in bed and all of a sudden I'll hear the TV get louder or whatever. And my first reaction is, oh my God, where's the remote? I don't want to wake him up. He's going to get upset. And I'll think he's still laying next to me. And when that happens, I'm like, oh, geez, or I'll wake up, I'll be laying in bed and think he's next to me.
Right.
And then I roll over and I'm like, okay, where the hell am I? Like, I don't
Wow.
even recognize the bedroom, things like that. But, that takes time. I slept in the same bedroom for 40 years. So,
Yeah.
it's a little adjusting and to not have him in bed next to me all the time.
I
It's
don't know.
just,
Can you see the words for everybody? Rachel's saying that her phone is at 6%. She doesn't have much time left. All right, Rachel, you can catch the end at another time.
does
Um,
she have a question or
I'm sorry, what?
did she have a question?
Oh, I don't know. And is there a message reading for me from a loved one who has passed? I think that might have been her question. I don't know if that was her question or not. Sarah says, I would love a reading from a loved one that's passed for me during the holidays, and it can definitely be difficult for me. The thing too is when we're doing these readings, not always is the loved one coming through that you want to hear from. And I think, Sarah, with it, you have I'm feeling a grandmother's presence, okay? And I think I felt it once when I read for Sarah too. Her grandmother's around her a lot. So just let you know that your grandmother is there. Uh, Rachel, are you still there or no? Just letting you know. Okay. She doesn't want the reading. She just wanted to let us know how long she'll be on. I'm going to check over to
Well, if she wants
Facebook.
me to do, a loved one reading, give her my email, and I can contact her and do it over video.
Uh,
That's how I do the majority of my videos because I have, when my husband passed, I went into a Facebook support group just like to see what it was. and I had all these young girls in there, and um, they started talking about, has anybody ever gone to a psychic? And they all start chirping in, and one girl was like, yeah, I paid $150, and she told me my husband's angry with me and he's not going to forgive me. And I'm like, no, that's not how it works. And a couple other ones says, yeah, I didn't get to talk to a message from my husband, so I unknowingly um,
Listen to this, folks.
okay, I fought doing readings my whole life until Reverend John pushed me. At that point, I was not ready to read for other people. I just chose my whole life not to do it, but I wasn't thinking. So I put down in there, if any of you girls, because a lot of them were young girls, and it was a suicide survivor group. If any of you girls would like a reading, let me know here. And well, all of a sudden, this feed filled up, and I'm like, oh my God. And then I'm like, okay, I'm making a page. Just go over there. Don't blow up this person's feed. So then I had to try to accommodate everybody, not realizing they were in the other part of the world. And I didn't know there were 3,000 people in this group when I opened my mouth. I did have to try to schedule, and I did over 130 readings in a month, which I wasn't supposed to do. And I did get very physically ill from it and just didn't do it again for almost a year. The energy drain was too much, but I connected with the person that took their life. I gave some of these women closure they needed. I had 130 thank yous because I would read over Messenger video. And as soon as the reading was done, they, all started sending me these messages and how, I helped them and how, they heard what they needed to hear. Some of them I helped. They would ask me, do you think he committed suicide? I don't think he did. And, we all say that. But I would concentrate enough for them. And, sure enough, the one gentleman did not commit suicide. He was in the Middle East and he was murdered, which gave them closure because they knew he could not have committed suicide. Another one, he wouldn't have hung himself. He hung himself in the parking lot at the bar, and he didn't. It was something, unfortunate with his friends. They were drunk. But, I connected with all 130 of these women. They were from South Africa, a lot from the United Kingdom, a lot from Australia, Greece, Canada, Ireland, and some islands I never heard of. But I felt that was my purpose and my calling, which is what I told Reverend John. I guess that was my shove forward because he bugged me for years. You have to do it. I'm like, I know I could do it. I just don't want to do it.
And now, believe it or not.
Now I came up with my own way because of the suicide group.
Right.
So I won't sit there and tell you all these other people, or I see this one standing by you. I don't see anything. When I'm in my meditative mode, reading for you, I get the messages. I know who I'm connecting with. I get the messages come through. So yeah, I'm never going to tell somebody, I see a male figure behind you. It looks like it's on your grandfather's side. I don't do that.
Why don't you give them your information if they want to get in touch with you? Because it says Sarah wants to get a reading, and a private reading, and from either one. So, and also, before you do that, let me tell everybody, at the Grapevine at 333 Dick Road in Depew, we will be having a psychic fair February 15th and 16th, and Reverend Joanne will be there. So you can always come to the psychic fair as well. So go ahead, give them your information.
Okay, well, the best way for you to reach me is to email me because I don't answer the phone if I don't know the number, and if somebody doesn't leave me a voicemail, well,
Right.
so it's easier on that, and just tell me who you are and what I could do for you, and leave a phone number for you, and I will get back to you. Now, my email address is JM as in Mary Ventrilla. It's VENTRILLA @yahoo.com. And just
Very
put in the
easy.
subject line reading. So
And
I'll
that's,
know.
believe me, it's about time that she did it.
Well, all those readings I did over Messenger, Facebook Messenger,
Right.
which I still feel I'm in the room with the person, and it worked out fine for me that way. And
Good.
I like doing the psychic fairs, but it's easier for me in the meantime if somebody wants readings to do it over video call. At this time, I don't have PayPal. I do, but I won't use it because they emptied my bank account out right in front of me one day.
Oh my.
Oh yeah, it's a good thing I caught it like immediately.
Yeah, very
I'm
much
not
so.
going to say who it was and what they did with that money, but wasn't anybody I knew. They were from another country, and yeah, they were buying porn with my bank account.
With all your hard-earned money.
Yep. So I don't use PayPal, but I have Venmo and I have Zelle, and I'm going to work on what's the other one, Reverend
Square.
John?
There's
Square or
Square.
Cash App?
There's so Rachel set up a ghost account for PayPal. I didn't know you could do that. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, but you still have to have a bank account
for it to go in and out of. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I know, believe it or not, with Square, you do not. Well, I think you have to have a backup plan, but Square now has its own bank accounts, which is crazy.
Okay.
I'm getting, it's amazing what they're putting out there. There's Cash App, there's Venmo, there's Square, there's PayPal, there's, I forget the other ones.
Well,
So,
I'm going to have my son, the IT guy, come over and refigure this computer so everything's not in his name. And I'll have him figure out the Cash Apps and stuff.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
it will be easier when
So,
I'm at the fairs doing readings.
yeah,
so,
that's a good thing to do
Yeah.
for the
So
fairs.
I I can do that for you.
It says, can you
That's
put
about
your,
the best I could offer now. But remember, my readings are called Messages from Heaven. I will connect with one specific person. I don't want to know anything about them, just their name. If you want to tell me if it's your husband, your mother, whatever. But I want to know anything about their lives or anything like that. And, that's how I do it. And obviously, I'm hitting the nail on the head every time. But if it gives people closure and some comfort from their grief too, especially when I explain to the person being read the process of crossing over and what happens, and I make sure that I explain that right from the beginning.
I have to interrupt you for a second.
You gotta
Somebody
go?
asked, I have to interrupt you. Somebody asked if we could put your email in the comments. Is it all right if I put it in the comments under Reverend John Shred?
You mean instead of my email?
No, your email. They wanted your
under
email.
your name, yeah, because I don't know
Yeah.
how to do that on this one.
So
Yeah.
it's JM Ventrilla @ Yahoo, right?
Yes.
Okay. I did it on the Facebook page. So for anyone that's looking for it, you can find it out there. And it is
Yeah.
there. So we've only got about 15 minutes left. So some things to help you through the grieving process through the holidays. Be alone. If you feel you need to be alone, do it. If you feel you need to be in a group of people, do it. If you feel like going to someone's house and just sitting and crying, do it. Whatever your way is to help you. But please, one of the things that people don't do enough of is we don't reach out and say to somebody, look, I need someone to talk to, or I need help. There's a lot of suicide hotlines. There's a lot of help on the internet where you can call just to talk to somebody. You know, you're up at 4 a.m. and you don't want to wake your best friend up. There's other places. Crisis Services has a wonderful line. I don't have the numbers. You can look them up, but just know that you don't have to grieve alone. And any type of grieving that you do, that's your journey. It's not mine. It's not Joanne's. It's not anyone else's. It's your journey. You have to find the way through it, but don't be afraid to ask for help. And I'm a big one that will not ask for help.
I
And
don't
and
either.
yeah, and I've learned over the past couple of years, you know, it's okay to say, "Hey, I need assistance," or "I need someone to help me with this," because we're not all super beings. Yes, we are super beings. We control our own destiny. We control what we think and everything. If you want to think rotten thoughts, think rotten thoughts. If you want to think happy thoughts, think happy thoughts. I will tell people that coming up, we do have seasonal affective disorder coming up because of the winter and that. So if that's the only thing bothering you, use some citrus. Get yourself some lemon oil, orange oil, or something, and put it on a warmer. It will help you feel livelier. If you are overeating and that's the way you're dealing with your stress, try putting some vanilla around. That will help you stop the overeating. If you want to feel warm and fuzzy and cozy at home, put a little water with cinnamon and let that mix up and
Does
get
vanilla
warm.
ice cream count?
Um, yeah, but if you don't want to eat, I go for the vanilla ice cream. I forget the
Yeah,
vanilla. And then
yeah.
for those of you that are having trouble sleeping, lavender. Lavender oil helps.
Yes.
And if you have a lamp in the room, you can put lavender oil right on the light bulb and then have it. And Rachel, thank you for that. She just put up the 24-hour crisis hotline is 716-834-3131. So it's really, again, I use humor. So I would say things right now that should not be said, and I'm not going to because I'm thinking the funny thoughts. Okay.
Well, you know
But
what I'm thinking, so it's
pardon
very
me?
hard to control. I said, you know what I'm thinking, and it's hard to control. I find
Yes.
humor in the things I shouldn't find humor in,
But
but
that's okay. That's your
it's a
journey.
coping
That's what you
mechanism.
need to do. A lot of people take mediums and psychics and readers very seriously, and I'm the opposite. I look for the peppermint is for mental clarity. I did not know that. That's very good to know. It also helps with the sinuses. Peppermint's
Hmm.
very good with the sinuses, and if you put it on your temples, therapeutic grade oil works like a charm. And you know, myself and you, as a matter of fact, Joanne, we both suffer from chronic pain. So a lot of times, even if it's the happiest situations, we're hurting. So we're going
Yeah.
to be miserable. And we try to put on that happy face and that. And sometimes you just, you know, I'm finding out now when it really hurts too much, I will tell people, look, I don't feel like doing blank, or I'm not doing that, or I'm hurting too much. And I try to make it so it is better than trying to tell people, oh yeah, I'll be there, you know, and
Yeah.
go there and be so I tend to get crabby a lot at home, which I don't like. But if I'm hurting, I'll get real short and real crabby, and it's like, oh boy. And people if the general public saw me at home, they would say, no, that's not you. It's like, oh yeah, it is. I can be a what.
Well, our mutual friends know what I'm like. So, and you know what? If that's what makes me feel better, cussing and making inappropriate jokes or whatever, so be it. I mean,
Exactly.
everybody copes in their own way. Sometimes people need to snap out of it and need to laugh.
Yes.
The most important thing I found, though, is don't let anyone tell you how to grieve.
Thank
Don't
you.
let them tell you, it's been 4 years already. Don't you think you should move on? No, no, I don't.
It's
And
amazing.
yeah, or else, you got to get out. If you get out of the house, you'll feel better. No, I won't. I've been out of the house. And where do you want me to go? Here's the thing. Where do you want me to go? I have no money. I have nowhere to go, and I have nobody to go with. So where would you like me to go? I'm content in my house with my dog. She's my
See,
lifesaver. I'm content
right.
with her, and that's all I need.
And her dog is so
you
cute.
You can't have people tell you how to grieve. You got to get out. No. My cousin called me to ask me because she was her brother's caretaker. And she says, I don't know, should I go away for Christmas? I could go on this cruise for free, but my cousins all want me to come over. I don't want to go. I said, what will make you happy? Don't worry about that. They want you to come and don't want you to be alone or whatever. Do what you want to do. Don't ask me and don't feel obligated to them. I said, what do you want? She said, I want to go on the cruise. I said, then there's no question about it. You go on the cruise. You do what makes you happy and makes you feel better. And
that's the whole thing. And that goes not only with grieving, but with everything. Hi, Jen. Everything in life, and we have come to become a society of trying to please everybody. Not everyone does that. Obviously, our generation does, but younger generation does not. And it's old stuff now.
Well,
it is.
And you have to realize not everybody's going to treat you or feels the same way you feel.
Exactly.
And at this point in my life, my children are all adults. So they have their own lives, and their generation does not care for our generation the way we did for our parents. And I've learned to accept that. I do have a son who always calls on me, checks on me, is here. My other son, I could guilt him a little bit every week. My daughter, I hardly hear from her. But again, they are not me. And I have all my friends my age are saying the same thing. Their children do not respect the same way we respected our parents. And, and I accept that. If they come the day after the holiday, fine. If you're not going to come, that's fine. I'm fine by myself, and like I said, you can't let people tell you how to grieve or what you need to get better and feel better. It's a lifelong process. But if you feel you need help, then you reach out for help.
Right. And that's the whole thing. But I think what you should do is just take off all your clothes and run outside.
Yeah, my neighbors are all 80 years old. I don't want to be giving strokes and heart attacks out there.
When I was in grammar school, there was a guy that every spring, and this is hysterical, he would dress in his wife's bra and panties and run outside the house. Why, I don't know. And I remember our teachers telling us about it, to be careful on the way home and this and that. And it's like, okay. Well,
it might have been liberating and freedom for him.
It might have been. And
I mean, if I go out there, there's coyotes here. With my luck, the coyote will find me before I can run back in the house. So
I might
slash my neighbor next door. That's about it.
My thing is I ain't gonna let anyone see me naked. I don't want to do comedy.
Exactly. Exactly. That's why I said I might flash my neighbor next door out my window, but
There you go.
yeah.
So, all right, we've got about 6 minutes left. Before we leave, I will say thank you, Joanne, Reverend Joanne Ventrilla, for joining us and talking
Thank
and
you.
sharing.
Thank you.
You
It's
are
been a
quite welcome.
pleasure, and
Very
we should
pleased.
do this more often.
I think we should. And
You
I
pick the
know that
topic.
Joanne and I have been talking about getting some weekend classes together and more of a what do you call it? Is it a conference? Is that what I want to call it? Or a
Retreat.
retreat type of thing. Yeah. So we're going to work on that. So if anybody has any real big ideas, one of the things Joanne did not tell you is Joanne's a Reiki master. Are you a Reiki master teacher as
Yes.
well? Okay. I can
Reiki
never remember.
masters are teachers, yes.
Yeah, I can never remember if that's both or not. And so she knows Reiki like crazy. And she's very in tune with the spirit world. So we want to work up something together so we can present it in the spring, hopefully. Now that I have the center, we can do it right there. We were trying to think of a retreat as go away and spend the night, but I don't want anyone spending the night with me. Not Joanne.
Okay.
Joanne's fine. It's other people. But if you have any ideas or anything you want done, let us know. Again, the Sage Center. Go on to under Facebook. I've got my own private John Shred. I've got Reverend John Shred. I've got Sage Center Promotions. Okay. Also, www.sagecenterpromotions.com. That lists our events normally. I have to update it just so you know. We do have an event coming up this weekend on Saturday at the Good Shepherd Lutheran Church, located at 2669 Sheridan Drive. It's near Sheridan, near Parker. There's a Walgreens and a Tim Hortons right in the area. We're going to have a craft and vendor show, holiday shopping bazaar. It's going to be great. A lot of vendors. We are looking forward to the new year. You won't hear from me until after the new year on Think Twice Radio. We want to thank Richard at Think Twice Radio. He has been a wonderful person to do all the background stuff and the getting us online and making the streaming work. And he set up so we could do this via Zoom because of the weather. Anyone who's in the Western New York area, please make sure you're safe from the snow and the weather. And hopefully it's supposed to be done tomorrow, I believe. So we should be there. And we're looking to start a spiritual development class again. We're going to start back up. We took a break in December. We're going to start back up I think the second week of January. So take a look at the website to find all that information out. You can reach me at reverendshred.com. Actually, reverendjohnshred.com is the website. My Sage Center at verizon.net. The telephone number's there. Any way you want to reach me. If you want to get a message to Joanne and you don't have her information, message me on Facebook. And Candace says, thank you, Joe. And
You're welcome, Candace.
and all that. And I lost my train of thought. Trying to be nice and let you know she said that. So
Welcome to my club.
Yeah, really. Take a look at our website. And, if you have information, let me know. If you want anything, if you need Joanne's numbers in that, feel free to do it. She does prefer that you contact her by way of email first, jmventrilla@yahoo.com. Yeah, yahoo.com.
Yes.
So there's there. And any last thoughts on how somebody can help the grieving process through the holidays? We've got about a minute and 50 seconds left.
I would just say do what is going to make you feel better, not what makes somebody else feel better.
I like that advice.
Better than anyone.
I like that advice a lot, because you know what? When you're grieving, for no matter whom you're grieving for, it's your grief, and
Right.
you need to deal with it in your own way. And if it means doing A, B, and C, you do it. If it means doing nothing, you do it. So
Right.
I think that's excellent. I want to thank again Joanne for being on tonight. I want to thank my past guests. I want to thank Richard again from Think Twice Radio for putting it all together. The holiday season is upon us. We've got Christmas coming up and New Year's. For those of you who make New Year's resolutions, don't. You don't have to
Exactly.
make them
Exactly.
because every day is a new day. Every day is a new year. Okay.
Yep.
So take care of yourself. This is the essentials of everyday living. I am the Reverend John Shred. Have a good night. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Okay, I'm shutting you down.
Okay.